Welcome back to Left, Labor Education for Today. This is the weekly recap. And in our first story of the week, Stellantis exchanged counterproposals with United Auto Workers this week, which were not well received by the union president. UAW President Shawn Fain took to Facebook Live again this week in response to the company's counterproposals to the union's aggressive opening demands. Fain was appalled at the company's proposals, which he characterized as nothing more than a series of demands for union concessions.
So I'll tell you what, brothers and sisters, when we get things like this from the company and they want to sit there and talk about they're not asking for concessions or looking for concessions, everything they're looking for in this document is about concessions. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do with their proposal. I'm going to file it in its proper place because that's where it belongs, the trash, because that's what it is.
In response, Stellantis issued a press release on its public-facing negotiations website in which it expressed disappointment about the union's approach. I was incredibly disappointed to see Mr. Fain's online communication earlier this week. It does not fairly represent what is happening in these negotiations. The theatrics and personal insults will not help us reach an agreement that continues our proud history of providing good wages and benefits to our employees and maintaining Stellantis' ability to be competitive in the market. These negotiations are critical and require cool heads and to focus on reality from everyone involved. While Stellantis' leadership may not have approved of the union's approach, the UAW did get support from Senator Bernie Sanders, who joined President Fain and other Big Three employees for a group discussion focusing on the importance of this UAW contract.
Now, the good news is that the UAW is standing up. They're fighting back, and they're saying loudly and clearly that enough is enough. They are demanding a new union contract that is fair and that is just. If the Big Three can make record-breaking profits, then the auto workers in this country who are responsible for those profits can and should also receive record-breaking benefits and wages.
As of the publishing of this video, we are exactly 1 month and 1 day out from the anticipated contract expiration on September 14th. So expect these heated negotiations to continue to heat up over the coming days and weeks. And in our second story, workers came together this week across both coasts to speak out against alleged union-busting activities over at Starbucks. It's been too long since we've talked about Starbucks on this show, and the company was in the news again this week as the subject of continued organized labor protests and demonstrations across the country. On August 7th, over in Washington State, Starbucks Workers United organized a rally at Pike Place Market in Seattle, home of the first Starbucks store, which they are now referring to as Strike Place Market. Meanwhile, protesters also gathered in New York City in solidarity with Starbucks workers.
Unions today staged a day of action against Starbucks in New York City and across the country. They're accusing the coffee giant of anti-union tactics, and some workers have been pushing to unionize, but so far, employees at only about 300 of the 9,000 restaurants have voted to join unions.
In total, workers from an estimated 333 stores across 32 states participated in this Starbucks Day of Action on Monday, with the goal of educating customers on the company's alleged efforts to thwart union organizing. And in our final story, 11,000 public service workers in Los Angeles walked off the job this week as part of a 24-hour unfair labor practice strike. The city of Los Angeles has become a hotbed for labor activity, as we've now seen striking activity among the entertainment industry, the hospitality industry, and now among public service sector employees for the city of Los Angeles. This week, thousands of city employees, represented by the Service Employees International Union, Local 721, walked off the job for a 24-hour strike, demanding higher wages and alleging unfair labor practices. The main concerns here are in reference to ongoing collective bargaining negotiations, with workers asserting that City Hall has walked away from the bargaining table with hundreds of open proposals yet to be addressed. And City Mayor Karen Bass has been sympathetic to the workers, issuing multiple statements this week. She says city workers are vital to the function of services for millions of Angelenos every day and to our local economy. They deserve fair contracts, and we have been bargaining in good faith with SEIU 721 since January. The city will always be available to make progress 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The union has expressed its intent to return to the bargaining table this week. And that does it for this week's video. I hope you enjoyed watching. I hope you learned something, and I hope you return again next week for another edition of the Weekly Recap. Thanks, and take care.